let's picture a scenario here. You're talking to one of your best friends in the entire world, and he's probably just as big of a fan of Western animated shows as you are. And then, while you're having the conversation, you two start talking about the Looney Tunes show and your favorite episodes from it.
Yeah, those are some really good shows. Oh, how about the Looney Tunes show? Oh yeah, I love that show. Funny as hell. Even with all the controversy surrounding it. Yeah, it wasn't much of a controversy. More like a hissy fit. Thankfully, we won't have that happen again. So, what was your favorite episode from the show? For me, it's You've Got Hate Mail. The episode where Daffy accidentally sent an offensive email to everyone he knows, even to his girlfriend Tina, then he tries to delete it before she reads it. Oh, right! And Bugs was asked to be in the family photo, but he chipped his tooth, and his girlfriend Lola tried to do the photo without him, so Bugs crashes the set, and it leads to a chase, an explosion, and all of them getting a chipped tooth for the photo. Ha! Yeah, I love that! So did I! So, what's your favorite? Oh, how about you guess it? Okay. Is it to ball or not to ball? Nope. How about the episode where Bugs, Daffy, Yosemite, and Foghorn beat the living shit out of each other? Nah, not that one. Damn! Oh, how about Best Friends Redux? The episode where Daffy goes back in time to correct the past of when he and Bugs first met? Nope. Well, what is it then? Well, it's, this stays just between us, right? Yeah, sure. What, is it a guilty pleasure or something? Oh, no, not at all. It's actually a good one. But, come on, spit it out. What's it called? It's called Mr. Weiner. Wait, wow! That's the episode's name? Yes, it is. Shut up. It's really hard not to... Wait. Is it really an episode? Or is it the title of the Looney Tunes show porn parody?
Let's just get started. Hey guys, Sam here. Welcome to another review, and this time I'm going to be looking at an episode from the Looney Tunes show. Now, I have covered an episode from the show before on my previous channel, but the only downside is the episode that I talked about, You've Got Hate Mail, video is gone. So, I decided, you know what? Let's take the opportunity to do it again. And just like You've Got Hate Mail, it comes from Season 2, which I personally think is much better than Season 1. It's more consistent, more funny, and of course it has some of the best episodes in the entire show. And, yeah, if you saw the opening sketch, yeah, it's really called Mr. Weiner. I'm not kidding. It really is called that. Why it's called that? Well, that title does come into play in one of the 3 stories that's in this episode. Yeah, there's 3 episodes, and they surprisingly connect with each other, and each and every one of them is good in their own way. So yeah, that's the first big positive thing I'll say about this episode. But why call it Mr. Weiner? I mean, like, that kind of title is just begging for some immature 16-year-old to laugh at. Okay, alright, let's forget about that and just focus on the episode. Okay, so what I will do first is talk about each of the 3 stories. Now, these stories revolve around Bugs, Yosemite Sam, Daffy, and Porky Pig, along with a new character that's introduced late in Season 2. Okay, so I'll go ahead and talk about each and every story based on which one's my least favorite and which one is my personal favorite. All 3 stories from least to favorite. So I'll go ahead and start off with the Porky Pig story first. Now, just to get out of the way, it's not a bad story. On the contrary, it's actually pretty good. But compared to the other stories, it's just a little bit more mundane. But that's not always a bad thing. Okay, so what is Porky's story? Well, in this one, he is very excited because he's about to go on a date to the carnival with this really cute girl he just met named Petunia, who also happens to be a pig. So, yeah, he's very excited about it. He's very happy. He can't wait for it. But Daffy throws a pin in the excitement balloon by saying that, hey, if you get too excited about this, you might actually drive her away. So Daffy gives him some advice on how to really handle the date. So, in his own words, you should play it cool. So, Porky, for some reason, decides to take Daffy's advice and decides to go for it. Play it cool, which doesn't exactly start off very well. And even when the date seems to be, like, you know, getting a little bit better, like when it gets to cotton candy and carnival rides, Porky still falls back on that advice by still playing it cool, just being not him, which is definitely confusing Petunia. And it comes to a point where they get up to a Ferris wheel, and Petunia asks him, why are you acting so strange? And so Porky's like, oh yeah, this is how I always act, you know? Even though it's not, he's still, you know, still not being himself, and he's still putting up this act, no matter how much we are saying, like, don't do that, just be yourself. But anyway, the act, so he then says he's trying his very best to put up this act for a long time, but it completely goes away when the Ferris wheel breaks down and they're stuck at the very top of the Ferris wheel, and Porky starts completely, and he just freaks out. So Petunia's right there going like, don't worry, it's okay, I got you. And so this is finally the time when Porky opens up to her, tells her what's been going on, and that all this playing cool stuff, it definitely isn't him. He actually likes cotton candy. He's not really a big fan of Ferris wheel rides or anything like that. And he also even opens up about his feelings to Petunia. And guess what happens? Petunia actually likes that. She gives him a kiss on the cheek, and they continue on their day, you know, actually being themselves, and it's nice. Great. And even though the day ends up kind of being a little, you know, interrupted by something, I won't tell you what that something is until the very end of the video. So, let's go ahead and now talk about the next story, which is my second favorite, and that is Bugs and Yosemite Sam. Okay. So, at the very start of the episode, Bugs went to go for a normal checkup with his doctor. And his doctor finds out that his heart is really beating very, very fast. And he thinks that it might be because of too much coffee or something like that. So, he recommends Bugs to, just take it easy for a bit. Not do anything exciting, because otherwise he could potentially have a heart attack or something. So, Bugs tries to do that, but that plan to, actually have peace and calm ends up getting interrupted when he finds out that Yosemite Sam is getting himself ready to perform a stunt at the carnival. So, turns out that this is some part of, his family's legacy, and he wants to be another Sam that attempts to do some crazy stunt. So what is the stunt? Well, he wants to jump a bunch of motorcycles from a ramp with a school bus. Okay, I've heard of weirder stunts, but that is pretty damn weird. So anyway, Yosemite wants Bugs' help for this stunt, and Bugs at first says no, but after some convincing, Bugs begrudgingly agrees. So he tries to help out Yosemite by actually using some pretty strong math on how to make it work. They really did do their homework. Talking about the writers, they really did do their homework, and I'm surprised they really did ask themselves, okay, if somebody was, daring enough to do this, how would it actually be done correctly? So they actually really did do the math there. So if you're some kind of math nerd or something, take notes, because this episode has some math for you. So finally, we get to the carnival. Yosemite is ready to do the stunt. Bugs decides that he's going to go watch himself because he doesn't want to get involved in this. But just before Sam is ready to do the stunt, he finds out that he can't reach the pedals, because he's very small. So Yosemite begs Bugs to help him out with the stunt. And, of course, Bugs agrees only if he listens to some classical music while doing it. So he pushes the pedals, the bus gets itself ready, it gets up on the ramp, and then they jump over the motorcycles. Then they see something that completely weirds them out in the middle of their jump, and they manage to get to the other side. They do crash, of course, but they manage to stay alive. They manage to complete the stunt, and it's all good. But here's the big twist in all of this. Now, remember when I said that his doctor was recommending him to, not do anything exciting because, he could potentially have a heart attack based on how fast his heartbeat is? Well, it turns out that it's normal for rabbits to have a heart that beats very fast like that. They're supposed to have a rapid heartbeat. So the doctor just made this whole, you could have a heart attack thing nonsense for nothing. So Bugs would have been fine regardless. So, yeah, and Bugs finds us out at the very end of the episode, which is just perfect. So, yeah, okay, so I talked about Porky's and Bugs and Yosemite story, but now let's get to my personal favorite, and that is Daffy's story, and this is where the Mr. Weiner title comes from. So, in this one, Daffy wants to enter a hot dog eating contest, like Yosemite Sam did, for the stunt, because it's a part of his family legacy. So, he wants to cram down as many hot dogs as he can. He's actually trying to go for the world record, which is around 62 hot dogs. But the only downside is he can only get about 4, 5, or even 7 down before he chucks it up in the bathroom. So, when he gets to the carnival, he starts doubting himself, thinking that he'll probably never win it. But after he gets a, very real fortune from a real fortune teller, which turns out to be Lola, Daffy gets more confidence. But when he finally gets there and sees his competition, he starts fearing that he may not win. So, in classic Daffy fashion, he decides to cheat by inhaling some helium so it'll, enlarge his stomach. That way he can consume more hot dogs. So, the contest begins, he goes ahead, starts cramming down all the hot dogs, and surprisingly, he wins. And now, you're probably wondering, wait, why do you want to do this hot dog eating contest in the first place? Was it just for the family legacy? Well, that is part of it, but there's also a couple other parts. You see, he also wanted to win a satin jacket, and he also wanted to be called Mr. Weiner for an entire year. Yeah, those are really his real reasons. So yeah, Daffy wins, it seems all great and everything, but then he starts floating in the air because of all the helium he ingested and everything he had, so he starts looking like a Daffy balloon, and so he floats around, and yes, remember when I said that something interrupted Porky's day, and of course that one thing that, Bugs and Yosemite saw when they were flying by during their stunt? That was Daffy. And it probably is the funniest thing ever, especially this shot right here where Daffy's just floating by and Bugs and Yosemite gotta look like, what the hell? So yeah, that's the best part of in the entire episode. So yeah, he wins it, but obviously people call him out for cheating and they won't give him the title of Mr. Weiner. But so to be nice, Bugs decides, you know what, I'll call you Mr. Weiner, don't worry about it. So yeah, those are all the stories. And, yeah, apologies that if I'm stumbling over my words or stuttering or everything like that, this is entirely unscripted because this is late at night and I gotta get ready to pack up because Thanksgiving break is coming up soon. So, okay, now I've gone through all the stories, I've already told you which ones are my least favorite, my second favorite, and my personal favorite. Okay, so what are my personal thoughts on all of them? Well, let's start with my favorite story first. I find this one to be the best one because it is absolutely hilarious. I mean, Daffy getting himself into a hot dog eating contest, that's just perfect. I mean, that is a great avenue for creating a lot of jokes, and they do take advantage of it. Daffy trying his best to, prepare himself for the contest by cramming down as many hot dogs as he can before he throws up, which leads to my favorite quote in the entire episode.
It's coming back up! It's coming back up!
And, of course, Daffy's idea in order to cheat his way to victory. Classic Daffy. And, yeah, the ending really it's a nice payoff. I was surprised that he actually did win, but of course it did have its repercussions. When he was actually, full of helium and stuff like that, he tied himself down to a chair so he could stay in place. But of course, when he got way too excited when he won, he started floating in the air, and yeah. So there's not really much to say about that story, other than the fact that it's just absolutely funny. And his reasons for why he wants to win it are pretty funny too. Like, again, you're doing all this because you want to be called Mr. Weiner, you want to win a satin jacket, and because you want to uphold the family legacy of engorging yourself in carnival food and winning a certain contest, like a pie contest or a pumpkin pie eating contest. Or wait, pumpkin pie, that's the same thing. Okay, alright. The point is, yeah, family legacy. That's one of the reasons why Daffy wanted to do this, and that's also why Yosemite wanted to do his stunt. And yeah, his story with Bugs is also pretty funny too. Not as funny as Daffy's, but close. And I actually do like how Bugs and Yosemite do get a little bit closer as friends. Not like friends, but they actually seem to have some pretty nice chemistry in this episode. Like, I really do like some of the slapstick, and of course, when it finally does get to the stunt, it's just as funny as it sounds. Now, we get to Porky's story, which is my least favorite, but I'm not saying it's bad. On the contrary, like I said before, it is pretty good, but in its own different way. Now, while Daffy's is pretty funny, and Bugs and Yosemite's story is funny and kind of heartfelt, Porky's is actually a lot more relatable, and something that I think many of us can, say, you know what, yeah, that has happened to me before, where you are trying to be someone else because you're afraid that you're going to drive the person away or not impress them, and you're afraid of disappointing them and stuff like that. And what this episode is saying is that, who gives a shit? Who gives a shit if you're like this cool guy? Like, no. Be you. I mean, it's like, take me. Let's say I was trying to impress a girl by wearing gel in my hair, wearing shades like Fonzie from Happy Days, and just trying to go, hey, let's go out and get high or something. No. That would get other people to go like, Sam, what are you doing? And exactly, that's exactly what I was saying to Porky. What are you doing? It was hard to watch him not be himself. And the fact that he still is taking advice from Daffy, the one that blew away all of his money just so he could afford a yacht, like, Porky, how are you still friends with this guy? That might be my only nitpick with this episode. Like, Porky, still took his advice from Daffy, even though Daffy went against his advice, immediately after he said play it cool. When he said play it cool, he then gets a call from, Tina saying, hey, we got ourselves a date going on, and Daffy goes under the table going like, I'll do whatever you like, darling. Yeah, play it cool, my ass. So, yeah, and when Porky finally does open up to Petunia and says, you know what, I'm not like this, cute guy. I'm actually just, a scared little fraidy cat. That was actually a very sweet moment. And I actually do like the ending, where Petunia, accepts him for who he is. Is very happy that he was able to open up to her, and they continue the date like it's a normal date, which they should have done in the beginning, but I'm glad they finally were able to go yeah, let's have a regular date, no trying to be fake or anything like that, let's just be ourselves. And if you're wondering what I think of Petunia's character, well, there really isn't a lot to say because she only made, 2 appearances in the entire show, and Mr. Weiner was the third to last episode in this show. Yeah, third to last, because Best Friend Redux was the second to last, and the real last episode was when all the Looney Tunes characters decided to take the backstories of different superheroes, like Batman and Superman. Yeah, that was a really weird way to end the show. But the point is, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Petunia, which sucks, because we got to spend a lot of time with Lola, we got a lot of time to spend with Tina, the girlfriends of their respective boyfriends, but we never got to see Porky really have a much more evolving relationship with Petunia, because as is, Petunia is not really the most interesting character, but that's really because she wasn't given a lot of time to be. But in the short time that she was on screen, she was decent, I guess. She was nice, kind, optimistic, and when Porky was very scared on the on the Ferris wheel, she was willing to, comfort him and stuff like that, which starts to make me think Porky must be the bottom in the relationship. Oh, okay. So, yeah, so that pretty much is all of the stories taken care of right then and there. Now, is it the most dramatic? Is it the best episode in the entire show? No, not even close. But is it a very funny episode? Yes it is. It had great jokes, it had nice animation, it had some really wonderful like facial expressions from all the different characters. And each of the stories I did follow really well, and each and every one of them did have a nice, satisfactory ending. So, yeah, I really did enjoy this episode. It isn't perfect, and I may have one or two nitpicks with it, like, again, why follow Daffy's advice, Porky, and I wish we could have spent more time with Petunia, but aside from that, I still did enjoy this episode. If I had to give it a final score, I would have to give it a 9 out of 10. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, my name is Sam, and good night everybody.